Hello, my name is Robert Seybold, and today we'll be talking about app purchasing behavior as found in a Harvard survey on app preferences. I am joined today by my teammates Daniel Kim, Anastasia Horvat, and Gabby Ruehle. Our data was made up of around 10,000 observations and 161 variables mapped to 31 survey questions. Through our analysis of this data, we found that people who download entertainment and gaming style apps are more likely to purchase an app as compared to those who do not download these styles of apps. And people who download professional or business-oriented apps tend to spend more as compared to those who do not download business or professional-oriented apps. Our presentation today will cover three main parts of our analysis: the exploratory data analysis, the creation of our logistic regression models, and finally, our recommendations based on these models. We will now hear from Daniel on how we conducted our exploratory data analysis.
First, we wanted to explore the data. Additional to the survey, we also looked at data from 763,000 iOS apps from a Kaggle dataset. Here, we can see that the left graph shows the number of apps increasing over time, while the graph on the right shows that the average app price has decreased over time. Our focus was to analyze on what characteristics current app developers should focus on to maximize profit. Further on, we explored the demographics of the survey population. Colored in teal are all the countries that were involved in the survey. As you can see, this was a global survey that targeted countries from across the world. From this survey, our team wanted to explore who spends money on an app, how much they're willing to spend, and why they're purchasing apps. Since the survey was global, a lot of cleaning was required in the data. The response for this question was a free response, which meant the data included all different currencies from across the world. Some had symbols, a lot of them also had typos. All the currencies were cleaned and recalculated to be in US dollars. For our analysis, we completed two final models. First, a binary logistic regression model to explore who will pay any money on an app. And secondly, an ordinal logistic regression model to find if someone was willing to pay for an app, how much money were they willing to spend. Now I'll pass it on to Anastasia to go over our first model.
As Daniel stated, the first model we created was a binary logistic regression comparing whether or not people spent money on apps. From this model, we found that 91.5% of people that answered the survey have spent money on apps, whereas the other 8.5% have not. Here's the process of how we built this model. First, we used tests such as the Mantel-Hansel and chi-square tests to determine which variables have a significant relationship with spending money on apps. Then we created a number of models using backward elimination and stepwise selection. The various models were then compared using measures like concordance and accuracy. Lastly, our final model was selected based on whichever had the best goodness of fit. The final model has an accuracy of 75.4%. Some key takeaways we found were that people who search the App Store using keywords are more likely to have spent money on apps. Also, people that have downloaded game and entertainment apps are more likely to have spent money on apps. Lastly, people that have the opinion that paid apps have higher quality and additional features are more likely to have spent money on an app. And now I'm going to hand it off to Gabby.
After creating this logistic regression model, we decided to try ordinal logistic regression, where we looked at the amount of money people were willing to spend on an app changed with different characteristics. So first, we binned the variables so that people who spent more than 0 but less than 2, people who spent more than 2 but less than 5, and people who spent more than 5 were all grouped together. After the binning, we tested all variables for their significance, created a couple different models, and selected the model with the best goodness of fit. Based off this final model, we saw that people who had downloaded professional apps like finance, business, and medical were all more likely to have spent more, and also countries like Italy and France had a similar interpretation. Finally, when we looked at the performance of our model, we saw the majority of test observations that were predicted were in their exact category or within one. This provided confidence from our conclusions. And now I'm going to pass it over to Robert, who's going to finish us off with some recommendations.
So now that we have an understanding of not only what makes people buy an app, but also what causes them to move up the rankings on how much they're willing to spend, what can we tell new app developers? Well, for starters, people that download games and other entertainment apps have higher odds of buying apps than those that do not download these styles of apps, showing that this may be a good place to enter the app development world. With that being said, people who are looking for professional apps often are willing to spend more for an app as compared to those who are not looking for those apps. So effective marketing towards these individuals may help to increase revenue for those professional styled apps. Thank you for your attention, and we hope you enjoyed our presentation on the app purchasing behavior.